for plunge cuts, as long as your track's lined up right where you want it, drop it, and it's going to work. You line the track saw up with 2 points, and it's going to make a perfect straight line every time.
Hey, what's up? Barnaby here. So you want to know more about the Festool track saw? Well, I can tell you it's got a soft start, but it also has a variable speed aspect to it where you can go from 2,000 to 5,200 RPMs. It's got a triple motor bearing and a spring-loaded riving knife that kind of gets up and out of the way for plunge cuts. So we're going to talk about all of that and more with Brian, who's had this saw for a bit now. And the reason we put it into your hands is because you do a lot of finished and trim carpentry, and that's what this saw is intended for. And so I want you to tell me about your perception of the performance, the design, the quality, and the value. But first of all, tell me about yourself. Rockford General Trades. What are you guys known for?
Well, we're a division of Rockford Construction, who's a big general contracting firm in Grand Rapids who does a lot of commercial remodel and new build.
Yeah, so you guys were working over at the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel, which when I first came to town many years ago, I walked into that place, I said, this is one of the finest hotels I've ever seen in my life. So what sort of work were you doing over there?
We renovated the ballroom and the main concourse area, and did a lot of woodwork down there.
Okay. Pretty much the you get one shot at it kind of woodwork, right?
Yeah, the big fancy stuff that you only get one cut and it needs to be perfect.
Okay, so let's talk about how the saw performed in that pressure-ridden situation.
This saw is great, performed exactly like it's supposed to. Basically, it makes straight cuts, bevel cuts. You line the track saw up with 2 points and it's going to make a perfect straight line every time.
Really? Yeah, well, it's just riding along the rail, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about making, say, bevel cuts. Show me how that all works.
Well, it goes from 0 to 45 degrees. You simply twist two knobs on either side, and the saw will go to whatever degree you need. When you get it to whatever you want, you lock it down.
Pretty
exact. Yeah, pretty exact, and then the track, it stays right out of the way of the track, and it still rides right like it's supposed to.
Well, you know, with some cuts, especially when you're using a really nice wood, it's a gut-wrenching moment. I mean, you're just doing a straight cut, and it's like, oh my God, I'm going off the line, but that's not going to happen with this.
Can't happen with that.
Right. Okay. Well, so let's then talk about the design of it, because we've seen the bevel cut side of things, the way it locks into place. But what else is this saw capable of?
Well, it's got some pretty nice safety features built right into the saw. If you look at this side, the blade is completely encased inside the saw.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about anything getting caught in there or anything.
Sure.
The blade won't even drop until you put your thumb up on the safety switch here. You could try to push it all day long and the saw's not going to drop.
Right. Okay.
So it's great. I mean, safety-wise, there's many features built right into it.
Okay, and then so I saw when you were doing that when it hinges down, that would be the moment of truth for the plunge cut, where you're not just standing over it, looking at the blade, going, okay, I think I'm on the line there. You can just drop it down exactly.
Yeah, sure. For plunge cuts, you just line the edge of the track saw up with whatever you're trying to plunge cut and cut out, lift it up, and drop it down.
Yeah.
It's going to follow that line no matter what. The blade rides right along the edge of the track. So for plunge cuts, as long as your track's lined up right where you want it, drop it and it's going to work.
Okay, and while we're on the subject, when I mentioned the riving knife getting up out of the way, circular saws don't have riving knives.
No.
Right? Table saws do. So what's the advantage of having one on a circular saw?
Well, for when you're cutting long distances with plywood or 2x or whatever you need to cut, it prevents it from binding up on you. Sometimes the wood wants to go back together after you make the cut. Well, the knife prevents the wood from doing that on the blade as you're cutting, so it just makes for a smoother cut.
Yeah, and it lessens the manpower necessary to make the cuts, right?
Sure does.
Yeah. Okay, and what about blade change? I mean, that's buried in a housing right here. How do you change it?
Well, you start to drop the blade, you lift this up, it locks into place, and now you've got access to your arbor to change your blade.
Okay.
It just comes out, put the new blade in, drop it down,
Yeah.
slaps this up, slaps back down, ready to go again.
Wow. And that's a 6 1/4 inch blade, right?
Yep.
Okay. Tough to find aftermarket blades? You'd have to always go with Festool.
Festool makes a wide variety of blades for it. I found one company that made the blades to fit the Festool saw, but I've always found that if you buy the Festool blades, they come in a wide variety for different types of applications as far as what you're cutting.
Okay, let's talk about the quality, because it's a precision machine, right? And boy, you wouldn't want it to get out of whack. Is it built so it's going to stand the test of time, do you think?
Sure. I mean, this isn't a saw that you want to take and drop or,
Right.
or just kind of carelessly throw it on the ground or whatever.
Sure.
It's a precision tool, and if you treat it right, it's going to perform like it should time after time. Seems like it's one of the most well-built saws I've ever used.
Okay, so that being said, let's talk about the value proposition, because it comes at a price, but as you've mentioned, it does a lot of things that could probably, just make your job quicker and make better cuts. But when you put it all together, is this a saw that's worth the dollars?
Every penny. Can't say much more about it. I mean, it performs well above and beyond any saw I've ever used. I love it. It's a great saw. Well worth the money. I'd probably pay more than what it costs to get it to have one. They're invaluable for doing finished trim work, in my opinion.
Okay, there you have it. He's used it a lot in some pretty high pressure situations, and so he gave us really just the bottom line on the whole thing, right? Real stats, real people, making it real easy to figure out, is this the saw for you?